So before we start getting articles starting tomorrow on the Fear No Evil wave, or as I like to call it, the Defenders wave, I would like to make a quick video on my predictions on what the box is going to be and what the wave is going to be like. So, predictions is a strong word. It's more what I would personally do. I don't really think I understand FFG's design well enough to actually just know what they would do. This is just what I would do, more like it. Okay, so first off, for the box, don't really care about the villains and stuff. That's all like, they'll do whatever they want. That's not really a thing I have any strong thoughts on. However, I do think that there will be something relevant to the Citizen V fight, where it is going to be, what's his name, Kingpin, sending out his like minions, right? That have different modular encounter sets that you could put into the deck, and they would be like fighting against you, much like Citizen V. And that each of the heroes that are going to come out, well, not Daredevil, he's in the core box, but each of the heroes that come out will have their own fight, or have their own elite minion fight. So Jessica Jones will have Purple Man, Luke Cage will have Diamondback, I think that's their name, Diamondback, something like that. And obviously Daredevil would have Bullseye, and Bullseye would be in the core box because Daredevil is in the core box. I don't know who they're gonna have for Echo, because as far as I know, Echo's like main villain is Fisk, because she's like family with him or something like that, and he manipulated her, and there was a bunch of stuff going on. So I don't know what they're gonna do with Echo's minion, but obviously they would need more than just 4 villains, 5, 6 villains, if you count 1 for each of the Defenders, and 2 for each of the Daredevil and Echo. So there'd be a couple more in there, but from what I understand, Daredevil has a pretty big, not Daredevil, Fisk has a pretty big criminal network that has a lot of villains that they could have as modular encounter sets. So that's going to be my first prediction for the box, and my only real prediction for the box is that there's going to be a Citizen V-like fight in there. For the overall wave, I think that they will have their own Citizen V-like Thunderbolt minions encounter sets. That's basically what I'm going with as far as overall waves. Now, I don't have a card to represent Echo, and I'm going to start with Echo because I think she is the most likely in terms of what my prediction is going to be. Like, I'm going to most accurately predict what she does. So I'm going to use Shuri Black Panther as Echo. Actually, this is a terrible idea. Hold on, let me grab a different card. Hold on. I don't know why I grabbed Shuri Black Panther when my prediction is literally like, she's going to be tucking cards under her like Silk. Silk has Silk Sense. After you defeat a minion or side scheme, resolve or treachery card, tuck that card under here from the encounter discard pile. I don't think Echo is going to be doing that. Echo's power is a lot like Taskmaster, from what I understand, in that she can like view something and copy it. So what I think she's going to do, let's pretend this is Echo, is that when she is in Echo form, or hero form, whenever the enemy attacks and they resolve a boost card, you can spend a mental resource to tuck that boost card under her. And then when she makes an attack, she can use up the boost cards under her to add that to her attack. She's like copying the villain's movements and adding their boost to her attack. Now, I don't think that she is going to be able to stack as many of them as she wants, because that would be completely broken, and I'm not sure about the cost of it either, because you could in theory get 3 boost for a single mental resource. I do think she will be using mental resources to do this, and that would be very, very strong. It might be that it costs 1 mental resource per boost icon, but that seems very, very expensive. So they might just go with the 1 mental resource to just tuck the entire card under her, and then when she does attack, she can spend the boost cards under her to add that to her attack. But I haven't worked out the math on how expensive or how overpowered that would be. My other main prediction for Echo is that she will be able to flip over, and she will be able to tuck cards from the top of the encounter deck under her in alter ego form, because that's the thing that she does, is she'll like study the enemy during her free time to like figure out, or to, you know, copy their movements and stuff like that. So that's my prediction for her. She will probably be actually kind of Silk-like, maybe, in that she could maybe have some control over what the enemy does, like how Silk has her eidetic memory. Ooh, wait a second, I just had an idea, because I was like, wait, what if the card is a 0 boost, right? You would have no incentive to tuck a 0 boost under you, but I'm thinking, wow, all of Citizen V cards have at least 1 boost icon. Give me a card with a 0 boost. Okay, I'm thinking that maybe that if there is a card with a 0 boost under her, she can spend that card to ready herself using an upgrade of some kind, and not just for free, obviously, because Silk has to do that too. She has to like build up, she has to get Oh, what was it? There's a thing that gives her +1 thwart, allows her to discard a card from under her to ready herself. I'm thinking that Echo is going to do something very, very, very similar to that. So that's my prediction for Echo. Moving on to Daredevil, and this is the least likely. I highly, highly doubt this is going to happen because it would be too different. But here's what I would. This is what I would personally do. So don't. This is a crazy idea. I'm well aware of that. All right. So what I'm thinking that Daredevil would do is that Daredevil can always look at cards that are face down encounter cards that are dealt to him, all right? And his whole thing is going to be dealing cards to himself, like he's getting himself into trouble, but he's coming out ahead because he's like good at that. So the idea that I have, and to be clear, my original thought for Daredevil was that he could seize the encounter deck at all times, but then I unboxed Falcon and I saw that Falcon already does that, so they're obviously not going to do the same thing. They're not going to make Daredevil have Falcon powers because Falcon would be no one would play Falcon. So to be clear, my idea is that you can always look at face down cards dealt to you, and you like deal yourself face down cards and eventually get an advantage based off that. And when you look at face down cards, you see their printed health and their threat value, right? So this has a threat value of 3 per person. So when you look at it, you'd be like, okay, so I have to put 3 threat on this. And you can you can target cards that are face down. So this comes into play with 3, and you can just be like, all right, well, this has 3 on it. You treat the text block as blank, so this doesn't have a plus a card icon, and you can thwart it out manually yourself while it is face down to get rid of it. Now, that might be like, oh, well, why would you waste resources? Why would you deal yourself a card and then waste resources getting rid of those cards? But I'm thinking that, Daredevil would have cards that benefit off of that. Like, oh, when you defeat an enemy, you can discard a face down card in front of you, right? Like, because there's going to be treacheries face down in front of you as well. And you can't thwart those out or damage those, right? So I'm thinking that he would have something that says whenever you deal with a face down card, whenever you defeat a face down card, whether it be a minion or a side scheme, you can discard another face down card in front of you or whatever, right? You're working behind the scenes, and Daredevil doesn't really work behind the scenes per se. He's kind of out in the open, but in the middle of the fight, he's like in the darkness, right? And you can't see him, and he's coming for you in the Netflix show, at least. That's how they sort of portray him, unless he's in a hallway. Unless he is in a hallway. That's going to be an environment. Oh, box. There's going to be an environment card. It's just long hallway. Anyways. But yeah, Daredevil would make it so that he would like have cards that are like 0 cost card. Deal yourself a face down encounter card to draw 2 or 3 cards or whatever. And I'm thinking maybe a card that's like Into the Darkness, where Daredevil, for the rest of the round, whenever a face down encounter card dealt to him would be flipped face up, it doesn't get flipped face up. So you can like stack them up in front of him and deal with them. You can delay the inevitable, right? And he's just staying in the darkness. That's what I would personally do with Daredevil. Obviously, he would be a 2/2/2. I'm thinking 11 HP. I think that he should have 10 HP. But I'm thinking they're going to make him 11 HP just because like they really want people to like Daredevil. Like that's going to be an important thing. Recovery of 4. It's no particular reason other than, Daredevil gets back up. Oh, that reminds me. I'm thinking Daredevil is going to have a upgrade that is like What Are You? Where it's when you are defeated, you flip to alter ego mode and then you can heal and do stuff, right? I'm thinking instead of being called What Are You, it's going to be like Get Back Up or something, just because he gets back up. As for the alter ego ability, I think there's going to be very specifically going to be lawyer support. Lawyer support for She-Hulk. She-Hulk's ability is I object. Interrupt when threat would be placed on a scheme. Prevent one of that threat. Limit once per round. That's a very underwhelming alter ego action. That's very underwhelming. I think that Daredevil will have a colorless card that comes with him that is very specifically lawyer support that says play only if you are an attorney or something like that. And every single attorney that comes out from now on will have some sort of interrupt when threat would be placed on a scheme or something, that instead of being limit once per round, it's like as many times around as you want or whatever, or like increase the amount of threat that would be not placed on it and stuff like that. I don't know what it would be called, probably like law professor, like a title, law professor. And any attorney can become a law professor because Daredevil does become a law professor in the latest run or something. So that's what I'm thinking for Daredevil. Now, Luke Cage and Jessica Jones are going to be the next 2 heroes that come out after the box. And I don't know what they're gonna do, to be completely honest. Luke Cage apparently is gonna be leadership, and I guess he'll just like take one less damage from every attack because he's like bulletproof and a bullet only does 1 damage in comic book terms. Like that's a punch deals more damage than a bullet, let's be honest. So I don't know what Luke Cage would do other than that. I'm not too familiar with Luke Cage and what he does. I have watched the show. The show, I don't remember a single thing from it. So that's my predictions for Luke Cage. Apparently he's going to come in leadership. That's cool. He's going to be the mayor of New York, which is a little confusing considering how Fisk is the mayor of New York. I think it would be more interesting if Fisk in the box was the mayor, but whatever. Jessica Jones, on the other hand, gonna be in Justice, for sure. 100% Justice. Now, I think it would be interesting if she still had the same ability. Jessica Jones gets +1 thwart for each side scheme in play, but I think in order for that to work, you would need to make it so you can have multiple player side schemes in play. Obviously, in multiplayer with 3 to 4 players, you can have 2 in play, but that's not really enough to make Jessica Jones worth it. So I'm thinking that Jessica Jones will specifically have side schemes in her deck that do not count towards the player side scheme limit. And it would be advantageous to just sort of keep them out there. Obviously, at some point, you should, finish them and get some sort of beneficial effect. But I'm thinking that Jessica Jones is going to be a player side scheme character whose player side schemes do not count against the player limit. That's my big prediction for Jessica Jones. Now, on to a very bad opinion. This is not a good... This is extremely unlikely to happen, and to be very, very clear, I do not want this to happen. I do not want this to happen. But after that is going to be Shadowland, the scenario pack Shadowland. And I know what Shadowland is in the comic books. I'm not... it's okay if I spoil you. You don't care about this. Alright? You're watching my channel. You don't care about quality content. Alright? So, Shadowland is the... I don't even want to talk about it, but it's the scenario or the event in Marvel where Daredevil becomes evil, but it's not really evil Daredevil. No, that would be too interesting. Instead, he's just mind controlled by the Beast, who is like the true ruler of the hand and whatever. And that's just so... I don't think they understand the reason why we like it when heroes go dark side. Like, if it's not Daredevil in there, if it's not Matt Murdock, then it doesn't matter. You could have put anyone in that suit and been like, this is the Beast, and Daredevil's just off somewhere else. Like, it doesn't matter. That's besides the point. So Daredevil basically is in control of the hand multiple times, actually, in the comics. And you know who else was in control of the hand, at least in the Netflix show, was Elektra, who I will use Black Panther to represent Elektra, since I already have her out here. Elektra and Daredevil were both in control of the hand at various points, depending on the medium. And Shadowland is very specifically the hand. Like, that's who you're fighting against, is the hand. So what I'm thinking is that Shadowland is going to be Daredevil and Elektra as leaders in the PvP mode. And the hand is just a third faction that has like 8 different... what are they called? 8 different modular encounter sets that you can use between them, and you can like shuffle them up as one single thing. There's no distinction between resistance and registration or whatever, right? In the official PvP mode, you have to separate those two. You can't play with them mixed up. I'm thinking that with Shadowland, it's going to be a single faction, third PvP option with Daredevil and Elektra. To be clear, once again, I do not think that is a good idea. I would not personally do this. This is like my one prediction where I'm like, no, I think this is what FFG is going to do. So, moving on from Shadowland, and we're going to pretend that it doesn't exist. Hopefully it's good. At least gameplay-wise, I hope it's good. Even if, Shadowland itself is not good. So, moving on to Black Panther. Not Black Panther, moving on to Elektra. Elektra is obviously going to be aggression. There's no doubt about it. She's going to be aggression. Unfortunately, she is not Daredevil Elektra, because Elektra does become Daredevil. And you know who else becomes Daredevil, ironically, is Black Panther. Not Shuri Black Panther, but, regular Black Panther. So what I'm thinking, first off, just overall, is that there is going to be a Daredevil upgrade. A colorless, well, maybe not colorless. It might be an aggression upgrade, because the leadership upgrade for Captain America is leadership. But I'm thinking there's going to be a Daredevil upgrade, a title called Daredevil that you can only play if you are Elektra or Black Panther or T'Challa. And that will make you Daredevil. And that when you have that title, you get to see face down encounter cards dealt to you. That's what I'm thinking. Now, Elektra gets Daredevil into trouble. Like, a lot. That's her thing. So, the team-up card for them, they're obviously going to have a team-up card. They have to have a team-up card. The team-up card for them is going to be that Elektra is dealing Daredevil face-down cards, or just deal yourself a face-down card, face-down encounter card, and then draw some cards or whatever, or some other benefit. But I very specifically think that their team-up card is going to give you a face-down encounter card. As for Elektra herself, I don't know, aggression, do aggression stuff. I don't think she's going to do cool stuff like Iceman. It doesn't seem like that's... Yeah, she wouldn't do like Iceman stuff. Who are the other aggression heroes? You have Tigra, who is very, very strong. She like hunts down enemies, I guess, and Magic? But she's not really like aggression's kind of a whatever. You just deal damage, it's fine. So I don't really have that many other opinions as far as Elektra goes. Unfortunately, I would say that she would have 2 of her size, and they would like flip over from dull edge to sharp edge, and you could have like more attack if they're in a sharp edge, or you could have more thwart if they are in dull edge. But Elektra gets her dull size when she turns into Daredevil, and she doesn't really stop doing that. She doesn't like flip back and forth between them, so like mechanically I think it would be interesting, but thematically I don't think that would work. So unfortunately, I have really no thoughts about Elektra. And last but not least is going to be Iron Fist. I do not have a card for Iron Fist, and I do not care about Iron Fist. Unfortunately, the Netflix show, I have no interest in Iron Fist. I'm not going to read his comics. I'm not going to... No. I'm aware that the show is very, very different from the comics, and the Iron Fist in the comics is not like that. I'm aware of that. Leave those comments if you want. Give me the free engagement. That's okay. I would love that. But the show was really, really bad. It was really bad. And he's coming back for season 3 of Daredevil. Daredevil Born Again. He's coming back for season 3. Can I tell you guys real quick? This has nothing to do with a card game. But I had the funniest idea about how Daredevil was going to join the MCU. I was like, alright, Daredevil's just a regular guy. Right? He's just some dude who can like sense everything around him. That's not like super strength though, right? You can't be fighting Ultron as a regular guy. You can't be fighting Thanos as freaking Hawkeye. That doesn't make any sense, right? So my prediction for how they were going to get Daredevil into the MCU is that Danny Rand, the Iron Fist, dies. And then Daredevil inherits the Iron Fist, and he now has the ability to like charge up every once in a while to just do like a super powered punch, and that's how he joins the MCU. It's so... Anyways, I straight up thought they were going to do that because the Iron Fist show was so bad. Anyways, that was it for this video. That's going to be the end of my predictions. I don't really have much more else to say, but hopefully I will see you tomorrow when they do the article, if they actually do the article, and that I will be reading the article and seeing what my thoughts are, seeing how accurate I was, and just getting the overall vibes of what I think about Fear No Evil. Hopefully it is good. Fear No Evil is literally the reason why I got into Marvel Champions. I started January 1st, and I was like, I'm gonna play to get ready for Fear No Evil. So hopefully it doesn't disappoint, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.